Hello and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. On today's program, we chat with Margaret LaForest and learn all about what's going on board the USS Salem at the Quincy shipyard this summer. First, though, as always, we take a look at the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, hazy sunshine. It's already 86 degrees. A hot, humid day today with a slight risk of a thunderstorm this afternoon. Temperatures will top off in the low 90s. Pretty stuffy night tonight with partly cloudy skies and lows in the lower 70s. Tomorrow there is a good chance for some showers and storms, mostly in the afternoon. Some of them could be rather severe. Pretty sticky tomorrow too, with temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Better on Sunday, sun and clouds. High Sunday in the mid-80s, and right on the 4th of July itself looks really nice. Sun and clouds, lower humidity, and mild temperatures in the mid-80s. Again, hazy and 86 in Quincy right now. In the news today, plans to update the Furnace Brook Golf Course in Quincy are taking a step back to get some more community input. And the city took control of the golf course earlier this year and is planning to replace the clubhouse to make improvements to the 9-hole course and update the adjacent Forbes Hill Park. Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch says he believes that most residents are in favor of the project.
In the end, we'll probably be planting more trees on the site than what was there before. You know, every time you take a tree down, people get all worked up. There are times when trees have to come down for legitimate reasons. Every time we have a storm, you see them falling all over the city that we have to deal with. Now, the flip side is we've planted thousands of trees over the last 4 or 5 years across the city. So we aim to keep our urban forest in a good place. And I'm a tree guy. If anyone knows the history of Marymount Park and all we did in removing paved roadways and planting numbers of new trees, same thing in a number of our parks across the city, they'll understand that I'm a friend as far as the trees go. But sometimes, because of the condition of a tree, it has to come down. So at any rate, I think we'll work all those issues out. Again, you can't make everybody happy all the time, so I'm not sure we're going to get 100% satisfaction. But you know, the vast majority of that neighborhood that I've heard from is supporting the improvements up there.
Mayor says the project could cost over $5 million. However, he says the project will ultimately pay for itself from fees paid by golfers. A series of community meetings will be held before any work begins. Construction is now underway on the 2 newest developments in Quincy Center. Fox Rock Properties of Quincy is transforming the former Masonic Temple on Hancock Street into a new restaurant with a 6-story, 66-unit apartment complex at the rear of the building. They're also creating a new 6-story, 135-unit apartment complex at the former Citizens Bank building location right next door. Fox Rock tore down the Citizens Bank building back in April, and the former temple has sat vacant after being heavily damaged by a 4-alarm fire back in 2013. Fox Rock plans to save the historic facade of the Masonic Temple building. Russell Park, by the way, is closed to through traffic until September 2nd because of that project. Construction, called Center and Stone, is scheduled for completion in early 2024. There is now a 50th name and 2 new benches at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial at Marina Bay in Quincy. A ceremony was held back on Tuesday to add the name of Staff Sergeant Robert Phillips to the Clock Tower Monument, and also to dedicate benches in memory of Larry Norton, who died in 2020, and in honor of Thomas Belinder. Both Marine Corps veterans, they co-founded the Quincy Vietnam Combat Veterans Combined Armed Forces. A friend of Phillips, Army veteran John Magnarelli, explained how Phillips was executed after escaping from a POW camp.
His body was never recovered, and to this day, there is still no closure for his family and friends. Well, Bobby, it's been a long time, 52 years, and you're 10,000 miles from Quincy. Well, welcome home, my friend. Thank you.
Members of the Norton and Bolinder families both attended that ceremony and helped unveil those new benches. Bolinder is also a retired Quincy police officer. Norfolk County Sheriff's Office Correctional Officer Brett Leclerc was honored recently for helping to save 2 children in a car crash on Interstate 95. Sheriff Pat McDermott presented Leclerc with a Meritorious Recognition Award at the Correctional Employee of the Year award ceremony held in Worcester. McDermott says that Leclerc was working a detail when that crash occurred. He smashed a window on a vehicle that was on fire and rescued 2 children and their grandmother, who escaped safely. The Norfolk County Registry of Deeds marking quite a milestone. Register Bill O'Donnell says the registry recently processed its 1,500,000th registered land document. O'Donnell says that only 20% of property in Norfolk County is registered land, as opposed to recorded land, which represents 80% of the property. He says registered landowners have certain protections with respect to title issues and claims of adverse possession. He also says registered land has been recorded electronically since 2017, while recorded land has been electronically processed since 2010. Registry employee Janice Cochran processed the 1,500,000th registered land document recently at the registry headquarters in Dedham. That's our check of news. Coming up, we chat with Margaret LaForest of the USS Salem. That's next. Welcome back. We are here to learn about the USS Salem at the Quincy Shipyard, and specifically the United States Naval and Shipbuilding Museum on board the USS Salem. So who better than the President, Margaret LaForest, to stop on by and tell us all about it. Great to see you.
So great to be back in the QATV studio, Joe and team.
Yeah, we love having you here, Margaret. It's been too long. So
you're a tremendous community resource, and particularly the support you give to our community's nonprofits is tremendous.
Thank you. We appreciate that very much. How are you?
I'm great.
Are you doing well?
I am doing well.
Good. Still working with the state?
I am. I'm part of Governor Baker Polito executive team for economic development. So
how exciting is that?
Still public service, just different environment.
Yeah. I bet you it gives you a special insight too into your position on board the Salem and how the state and the city and private organizations can collaborate.
Yeah, it sure does, and it talks about, I think as you look at tourism and arts and culture and quality of life in a community, how it contributes to the community's economy.
Right.
I was reviewing our data for some grants we're working on, and typically pre-COVID, Quincy would have visitors from all 50 states and 30 foreign countries. Well, just looking at last year's quick data, over 30 states in the last few visitors. So we just the other day it was like Hawaii, Ohio, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. So as people are coming to Quincy and seeing us as a destination, it's important that home base, the city of Quincy, knows that we are there to celebrate our city's shipbuilding heritage and our proud past. But history is alive in Quincy, and come on down.
I can't help but think, as you mentioned, new people are coming to the city all the time, maybe never heard about, first of all, the shipyard, second of all, the Salem. So how about just a brief overview of what the facility is?
Sure. So the city of Quincy back in the 80s when the shipyard closed, and actually QATV was instrumental in this, and I was a student at Broadmeadows when we had a student campaign when the shipyard closed, the impact for our families, our communities, and the economy, to say how do we honor that proud heritage? And so a campaign began to return a Quincy-built naval ship to the Fort River Shipyard. And so the USS Salem is a heavy cruiser, one of 3 heavy cruisers built at the Newport News, our sister ship, has a museum on board, and also the Des Moines, this is a Des Moines class cruiser, Des Moines Road, dead ends at South Street by the shipyard. And the ship itself is the museum, and on board houses various collections, such as the Newport News Museum, the cruiser sailors. So, be it we're the world's only preserved heavy cruiser. We have items from over 100 different Navy cruisers on board, including the USS Quincy, who this August will be celebrating. Well, I don't know, celebrating is the appropriate word. Honoring. 80 years since the sinking of the Quincy at the Guadalcanal. Is in August 9th, I believe, is the anniversary.
Okay.
Yeah, so we get to share that story, let visitors explore a Navy ship. You know, just today we had interns start from Quincy Public Schools, and you know, someone's going to interested in joining our military service. So often, you know, students come on board and just really appreciate what it is for our military service.
Yeah.
And then we had many volunteers who are students who pursue that as a career.
That's
So
great.
yeah, it's so many different opportunities to get connected, but this is your history, our community history, and we want to make sure that stories are told and just that experience, that museum experience.
Where is the USS Salem,
You
Margaret,
know,
and how do we get there?
yeah,
Because that is
so
one of your biggest
It
challenges.
is.
Yeah.
You know, when we were at Pier 1, you know, many years ago, maybe 6, 7 years ago,
Yeah.
when the ferry used to operate out of there, it
Yep.
was so convenient. You'd pull off the rotary, you'd hop on the ferry. While you're waiting for the ferry, you might visit us, right?
Sure.
So that was a really
Or at least you'd
great
see it.
day. Or you'd see it. You'd
Yeah.
know it's a museum. You could park easily. And that was time that the state MTA had owned the pier and had declared it unsafe, and hence it's collateral damage of closing the ferry. Well, you can't have public accessing a tourist attraction.
Right.
So that was a real challenge, and so we slid over from Pier 1 underneath the Fort River Bridge, highly visible, easy to access off the rotary,
Yes.
to Pier 3.
Yeah.
So we are, if you know where Pete's Bar and Grill is on South Street, you're going to see Jay Cashman, who owns that section. The shipyard did a great job, a nice Irish-themed arch and tugboat, you know, entrance delineating Quincy Shipyard.
Oh yeah, you can't miss that.
You
Yeah.
can't miss it, but
Yeah.
you have to know that you can't go in off the rotary. It's off of South Street. Then it's in a very industrial area. So
Yes.
now if you made it that far, you need to like drive over train tracks.
Yes.
You're like, well, what am I doing? Is this safe to drive? It's very industrial, right? And so you drive through that to the back of the property,
Yeah.
and you'll see our little kind of blue highway sign with an arrow. And you're going to go around the back of the building and come down and drive right up to our bar where you can park.
Right.
But it is a challenge.
Yes,
It's
it
one
is.
of our challenges. One of our grants we're talking about for this season, we've had some funding, is about signage,
That's
right?
great, yeah.
We missed that big sign that used to be at the Rotary telling you we would exist. Route 3A is one of the most traveled South Shore
Oh, gosh, yes, yeah.
roads. So we had that, and that was, really one of our challenges in our current location.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
it going to stay at Pier 3 where it is right now?
Yeah, so, well, we are in the middle of a strategic plan.
Okay.
Our lease has expired with Jay Cashman.
Right.
And we were there kind of on a temporary when
Yep.
this came together so quickly. So that is something that we are working on. And we were working at a strategic plan that's been funded with some grant funds to help us figure out, is this the right place for us? Because we hear it all the time. We can't get to you. We can't find you. It's not the best experience for the visitor to get this deep into this industrial section.
Yeah.
But where could you go? The city of Quincy campaigned for the vessel, and the deep water of the shipyard is a great location, not as publicly accessible. The rest of the Quincy waters really are limited. So
And
we
it's
have some.
recreational in nature, and and this is the really industrial site.
Yeah. So, but the city of Quincy's water is a designated port area,
Okay.
and that goes all the way up the Town River.
Yeah.
That goes into the shipyard, and so as a by right use, it could go to any of those locations.
Oh, okay.
But where is the depth of water? I mean, there's just a
lot to
That's not an easy
consider.
question, Joe. I
Yeah.
thought we were going to do softballs today.
Well, everybody's been asking me, so I had
Oh,
to
they
ask
have.
you.
Okay, yeah. So I think that there's definitely some concern. There's definitely some opportunities,
Yeah.
right? I think for us, we're gearing up Quincy 400s in a couple of
Right,
years.
yeah.
So one of our things that we're trying to work on is signage, messaging, marketing.
okay.
We got that grant in partnership with the City of Quincy from the State Office of Travel and Tourism. One of the things we're getting funded with our community preservation. I mean, the mayor and the city council, CPA committee have been so good to us.
That's great.
But when you see these vessels, like the tall ship in East Boston, you'll see the lit up bow to stern, up and over. They call them
Yeah.
the up and over. And the ship being dressed. I think we have a picture maybe
Yeah, we
coming
have
up.
an old black and white picture
Yeah,
we can
coming
show
up. So
of-
we're going to be, it's a little, preview of
Yeah.
what's to come, but we're going to be lighting it up. And now it's like, okay, look at the Fort River Bridge is all dressed in blue. What if
Yeah.
we're all dressed in blue matching?
Yeah, yeah.
Trying to increase our awareness and our visibility, but most importantly, get those visitors through our door, show them what a gem of a museum is in our backyard.
It really is, and the great thing about it that made the most impression on me, I was actually on board when it came been to Quincy many
Me too.
many years ago. But it's a living museum because it has not been stripped. It's not, and nothing is cordoned off. Nothing is under plexiglass.
Well, some things.
But really, it's as it was when it was built, right? 1949. I think.
And there's many museum ships around the country, right, including some other Quincy-built ships. But I will tell you what is unique about ours. So versus, say, the battleship down in Fall River, when the battleship Massachusetts was granted as a museum, it was the hull of the ship. Versus the Salem is a cruiser, came into the mothball fleet, preserved as is.
Right.
So every piece of equipment, you turn your eyes around, you close your eyes, you think you're in the 1950s,
That's exactly right,
The 40s and 50s. So when you come through and do that tour, if you're in the barbershop's chairs are here. You're in the medical office, the medical equipment is there.
Yes.
You're in the galley, you're in the mess halls, everything is in place. And so, that's pretty unique. And then to your point about plexiglass and don't touch, don't go there, we really provide opportunity for you to explore. We only have one of the engine rooms open, but you don't need to see them all.
Okay.
If you really want to nerd out on that, we can get you through sometimes to other places.
Right.
Combat Information Center will bring guided tours down there.
The CIC, right?
The CIC, yeah. So, we really want you to explore the vessel and see it for what it is. Go up into the superstructure, go up into the bridge. We're going to be restoring the Signal Flag Bridge this year. So we have so many great projects. You look at her as you drive up, you're thinking, a little rusty. But you go down below, she's in really well-maintained shape. And then some of our, high-vis equipment, such as the main battery director, the crane, some of our gun turrets are in pretty rough shape, and we now have secured funding. We have over $600,000 worth of grant funds collectively through multiple sources that we're going to be completing projects the next 6 months
That's
in the
excellent.
season. We're
Good.
very excited to get it underway.
We're going to do show and tell. We have
Okay.
some pictures to show folks of kind of before and after work that's already been done. It's come a long way since it first arrived.
I really have
Tell
to.
us what we're looking at. Yeah.
Okay, so let me turn here.
You can see it right in front of you here, Margaret.
Where am I looking? There we go. Thanks so much.
Sure.
So that is our Sky Director, our volunteer Dan Sibbles, one of our Mass Maritime alums, grew up volunteering, and that was one of the projects. You can see that is very transformative.
Very much so.
And so there's I think we're looking at this one on the port side. The starboard side one is then going to be done, I believe, this year.
Okay.
Or might
All right.
actually be in progress.
Okay, let's take a look at the next one.
Yeah.
See what we got.
Okay, so this is like the turret 3, the gun barrel. So you
Yeah.
can see very, they needle gun them down. We always have needle guns running. Anyone wants a paintbrush? We're all volunteer operated, 100% volunteer.
Yes.
So this work is being done by volunteers. We, for the big projects this year, that main battery director, the crane, the other guns, are hiring a contractor. It's like much
Volunteers
more
just can't,
large scale. But
Yeah.
we have a lot of people on board. And so this was one of last year's projects funded by the Community Preservation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Take a look at the next one.
Okay. This is just a gun mount, but you can see what the floor conditions were.
Yeah.
Right, we're exposed to the elements. We're out in New England. When you look at museum ships around the country, very predominantly they're in the southern states, and
They don't have to worry about the weather.
They don't
right?
have inclement weather like New England.
Right.
Yeah. So that you can clearly see the floor level in the work that they did.
Yes.
I mean, they're transformative before and after. It's been a great success.
Great.
But truly, the City of Quincy has been such a strong partner in providing the funding for these projects. And this is another one, a mount. You can see, really the rust, how it's coming through. It gets needle gunned down. I think the next photo is going to show it kind of as it was. This is the before, this is kind of the during and after. Oh, here we go. This is called dressing ship, right? So you see the signal flags. It's got a pattern declared by the Navy, and there's certain dates of the year that these flags will fly.
Oh.
And of course, one of them just passed us. One of Quincy's favorite holidays is Flag Day. The 4th of July is another date that you dress ship, Labor Day. And so coming this year on order, we'll be placing, now that this fiscal year starts today, we have the funding effective this fiscal year. This is one of our community preservation projects that has a matching grant from the state, Destination Development Grant, and we're going to be getting those signal flags on the cables as well as the lighting to really, just the high visibility and just showing the respect. And a crew member of the Salem lives down the neck, is a good friend, and when I told him, he's like, "You're going to dress my ship?" Just the emotion for the Navy veterans to see their ship, to see ships dressed, is really special. And of course, got some tricks up my sleeve for Quincy 400.
Oh, okay.
Bunting for days.
Bunting, okay. Let's check the next one.
It's really special. This, I think, is in Villafrance. Oh, so these were some of the projects that we're using our CPA funding, right? So no shortage of painting happening on board.
Right.
The strategic plan I mentioned. the National Historic Register, the State Historic Register, is complete. We have been deemed eligible for the National Historic Landmark listing. That's another, application project. It's multi-year faceted, and the goal is for Quincy 400 that we're putting that bronze plaque on, declaring us as a landmark.
Okay, you heard it here first,
I
folks.
know,
All right.
yeah. So that's exciting. So 2 more on this list.
Okay.
So that's like a really big deal. The collections. I mean, what we have in our collection is just absolutely priceless. The military weapon and archive room has items from every conflict U.S. has been involved in, the historic conflicts dating back to the Revolutionary War.
Seriously?
I mean, we have like a Gatling gun from the Civil War, right?
Wow.
We have really spectacular. And then the last one on that, really, if you're a ship, you'd understand, but cathodic protection is about the electrolysis and hull protection and the integrity of the hull, and that was a very high-ticket item, about $100,000 project.
Really?
And was completed this spring.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but one of the things you worry about is the erosion of the hull and what's the integrity of these ships' age.
Right.
And so, by putting this active and press cathodic protection, takes care of that.
So much going on
I
behind the
know.
scenes that you don't ever
Yeah.
even think about. It's like, oh, there's a ship, there's a museum,
Right.
you just there it is. But there's so much to keep it going and keep it preserved.
And the exhibits on board are tremendous.
Yeah.
So, I think what you're going to see for us is recognizing the upcoming anniversary for Quincy, saying, how do we as a museum better connect to the community, right? So much of it is, especially not having the large-scale public events, our Easter egg hunt, our haunted ship, things that really brought our locals on board kind of time and time again. We really have predominant visitors from, that outside the 50-mile kind of tourism, right, overnight stay, visiting what's the attraction nearby. So we're looking at ways with some grant funding to create event space,
Okay.
right? So last year, I think you might have covered it for us, the farmers market hosted it. We
Yes.
hosted a clam bake for them and said to other nonprofits, if you'd like to host something, we're willing to allow the nonprofits to use our ship, right?
Great
We
idea,
want to
yeah.
be a great community partner. We donate admissions to just about every, PTO, Rotary, you name it, they ask us. We want to be a supporter. But we really see us as, where can you host a unique corporate event? Our kids' birthday parties are so popular.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
An opportunity for us to make some money, but we need to make some improvements to make it a viable destination
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
And so that's some of the work we're going to do this year.
Okay, we have a couple of thank yous you want to shout out, of course.
So I have to say, it's really that public-private partnership that's made such a difference. Mayor Koch, the City Council in Quincy, the Community Preservation Committee, the City Historic Commission. I mean, they're constantly fielding emails and letters of support. Our new Ward 2 Councilor, Anthony Andronico. And then, honestly, the support letters for the grants for the $600,000 would not have happened without that. And Speaker and Representative Mariano, Senator Keenan, Congressman Lynch, I mean, you name it, we go to them, here's what we're trying to do. The answer is yes. They've been so supportive, and it's made a difference. But also so important to say, we're right now operated 100% by volunteers.
Yes.
100% of our proceeds are invested back in the museum's, bills in the preservation of the vessel, and there's so much to do. We welcome you to join us, to volunteer, but this is your City of Quincy. This is your museum. This is for our residents, for our families. And when I leave here, Joe, we're going to put a quick share so for all the volunteers, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear your story. So we ask you to just like our Facebook page, and I want to post a thank you to QATV for helping us get our message out, and share your story. I want to hear, did you have a family member that worked at the shipyard? Did you work at the shipyard? Did you serve on a Quincy-built ship? Did you serve in the Navy? What is your connection to Quincy shipbuilding past, and how can we help tell our story? There's so much we can do. There's so much potential, but we do need your help.
Yeah.
And we come visit us. Admissions only $10 to $12. uss-salem.org. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Share our information, and anything we can do. Anyone interested in volunteering, please touch base. Would love to meet you.
Okay. Do you have still community Cub Scout packs that stay overnight? That was a big program.
Yeah, we've had some challenges. We're making some improvements also with grant funds to our
Okay.
fire safety, and I think also with
okay.
COVID.
Okay.
When we moved to this location, it was a real challenge, right?
Yeah.
So versus the opportunity, the parking, the access for the fire department at Pier 1 versus what's at Pier 3. So there's that challenge,
Okay.
which is something that we're working on. We're upgrading our fire alarm systems. We received some grant money for that. So there's that challenge.
Okay.
Then COVID. It is our most important, most popular program is the Scout Overnights. Constantly, I'm meeting people. I stayed on board when I was a Scout. I'm here now. I'm grown up. I'm an adult coming
want
back.
my
I'm
kid
bringing
to
my
come,
kids.
yeah.
I wanted my kids to have the experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our most popular program. We are really striving to bring it back for 2023.
Okay. All right.
It's what made money, right? So I think
Yeah.
you talk about the revenue and operating a
Okay.
historic ship, it's not easy. So we're striving, we're working on it.
So if you want your scouts to
Yeah.
stay on board, volunteer and
Yeah,
help
volunteer.
fix the place up.
Yeah, do we have a fire protection engineer? Anybody? You got a second egress for
There you
us?
go.
I mean, we're going to do our best.
What are your hours for the summer market?
Yes, so Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays in July and August, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
And then we return to just Saturdays, Sundays, September through November.
Okay.
So we are only a seasonal operation, April to November, right?
Yeah.
Inclement weather is not so good on our decks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so we do operate in the seasonal schedule.
Okay, very good. So good to see you. Really appreciate the opportunity, and please stay in touch and
For
come
sure.
back often.
Thank you, Joe.
All right. Have a great, happy, safe 4th, too.
Same to you.
Thank you very much. Just enough time to check the forecast for you for the rest of the day today. It's going to feel like a firecracker out there. Hazy, hot, and humid with temperatures in the low 90s this afternoon. Maybe a spot thunderstorm. A better chance for storms tomorrow for sure, especially in the afternoon. Some of them could be rather severe, so look out for that. Be weather aware with highs in the low to mid 80s. Really nice on Sunday, partly sunny, 86. And the 4th itself, very summer-like. Sun and clouds, high of 85 degrees. Thanks again to Margaret LaForest for joining us today.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks to our crew. Thank you for watching. By the way, we are off on a Monday for the 4th of July holiday. Join us next Friday. Melissa Kay is here from the Joshua Kay Foundation. Don't forget our website too, qatv.org. Anytime, all of our latest programs. There's news and information, video on demand, live streaming, and a whole lot more. For all of us here at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a very happy and safe Independence Day. We'll see you next week.